Heads up, I'm organizing a training weekend together with my coach. It's on the 14th and 15th of October. It includes food and hotel stay, 2 days of training, and a presentation on how to train properly. So if you want to train like me, with me, sign up now. Full is full. Gonna see you there. Picked up some preems. Yes. That's a €5 preem. And the end result, end result today, 20 bucks. Making big money.
Few moments later.
My car keys are inside the car and my car is closed. I just put my bike in the car and we have this automatic trunk. I press the button, the trunk closes, everything is in the car and I can't open it. Called the Volkswagen service thing, €200. I have to send some kind of rescue service, or Daisy's coming with the spare keys. Fourth race of this year. 3 road races, 1 mountain bike race. I'm in Breakaway today. It's not a criterium, it's a circuit race like I did the first race with the Elite in the rain, in the wind. And today as well, it's pretty windy, so I'm expecting something similar. It's an 8-kilometer lap. 10 laps, 75k, probably about an hour and a half. Nothing too crazy today. Packing 1 water bottle with some food, a couple gels. That should be enough. Right now you're looking at the live glucose burn data field powered by the Eat My Ride app. I'm using that app to plan my nutrition on races and key training rides. This race was quite simple in terms of food planning as it was only about an hour and a half, so I didn't need to take much extra fuel. I started all the way in the back again from the start lottery, which was unfortunate, but this time there was a neutral part so I could make my way up to the front before the race really started. There's a car in the front and a motorcycle that's going very slow. They're holding us back. Right now we're exiting the club course on this very narrow street. I think this was a bike lane. We're going into the wind. As you can see, the weather indicator I've put on the map on the top left. And right now the race is going to start. The motorcycles is going to go full gas, and it's very important to get into position straight away. As you can see, I'm very close to the front, and now the race is starting and everybody's just hammering it down. The wind's from the left, so it's important to get some shelter but also remain on this position. Right now a couple guys are going very strong in the start. I am just going to the left here, trying to get some draft from this guy. I don't want to push too hard in the beginning straight away. As long as I'm close to the front but not at the front, I can see what's going on and I would be able to move over or, you know, jump a little gap if it's needed. First corner here is to the left. Always important to know where you are going. If you know the racetrack, the race course, or the map, if you have a map display, get it on your head unit, because then you know where to go and you know where the wind will be from after you have another corner. So now the wind's from the right, but there's a lot of houses here, so there's not that much of a strong crosswind at the moment. Just continuing the pace here. There's a couple guys at the front, not too worried yet because there's only 3, and the next left hand corner will be a tailwind, and that is very tough in these windy conditions. The tailwind sections are the most tough of them all. So here there is a gap to the first couple guys. You see these dudes pulling pretty hard to close it, and this is actually beneficial for me because there's quite a few riders ahead of me. The wind's from the back, from the right, and this will have us, you know, make a long echelon. So it will take a long time if we start rotating until I'm at the front. So I've got a lot of benefit from this because I'm drafting the whole way. As you can see, I'm all the way on the left side of the road right now, which means I'm pretty much the last guy in this echelon because the next guy would be in the gutter on the left of me. So the perfect spot right now to just try and stay with the front and try to, you know, conserve a little bit energy until it really goes down in only a few minutes from now. So here we have a little right hand corner, only short bit, and then back to the left, more crosswind, but there was also a lot of bushes, so it was sheltered. And then we would go onto this left hand corner on a very narrow bike lane, where if they would attack and you're behind, there's just no way to go around anyone. So at this moment I do want to go to the front a little bit. As you can see right now, I'm moving up, getting into position. At this moment it's Martin van der Poel driving the pace at the front. It's going uphill towards this next corner, and he's also staying all the way on the left so that no one else could be in his draft. Guy in front of me made such a weird move. I don't know what he did. He slammed on the brakes in the middle of that corner. I almost crashed into him, but luckily we stayed on the bike. He's got a little gap. I am just trying to cruise, staying behind these guys, not pushing too much, but I'm all the way at the front. This is the narrow part that I was talking about. So right now I'm in good position. I can respawn if I need to, but if I would be 20 riders back, it would be very difficult to go with a move if somebody would open up a gap. And you can see the speed right now, 52k an hour, and we're not even pushing that much. It's just because of the tailwind. And right there, there's one of those moves, there's one of those attacks. And because I'm at the front, I can just, you know, get in their wheel, and it's no big deal. I can just follow their move and go with the flow. So right now, the end of this bike lane was actually very important, because we would go to the left, and there would be a very exposed part with a lot of crosswind. Now it seemed that in this first lap nobody was too worried, but you're going to see in the next laps that it was going to be a race towards this corner. Everybody would ramp up the speed, they would start to attack to be at the next corner within the first few riders, because from that corner it was all crosswind towards the finish, and this was actually going to be the most important part of the race, where everything would split up into pieces. So sharp left hand corner, it was slightly uphill, so guys standing up, getting over this bump, and now it was very important to get into position. The wind's coming from the left, down within the first 5 riders, so that's perfect. If there would be an echelon, even if it's half of the road, I would be in it, and we could you know, put some people in the gutter, which is basically what you're trying to do if you're in the front of the race and you're trying to set up a strong pace. You're trying to lose riders. You don't want to be at the front the whole race and bring everyone together towards the finish. You want to make it hard for everyone. So Martin here, he's attacking actually. He's going to the front to make up a very good pace. Already, you know, signaling his hand like, let's do an echelon and let's rotate. And we're gonna keep it very, very narrow. So instead of going all the way to the left right now, I'm actually going only like 2 meters out of the gutter. The wind's from the left, so only 3 or 4 riders would fit into this little echelon, which would make it break right behind that. So there would only be 5-6 riders who would be able to, you know, stay on our wheel. The rest was pushing so hard that they would not be able to keep it up, and we would, this is basically how you force a breakaway or how you force a split in the group, in the peloton. Now a couple weeks ago I was one of those riders who was all the way in the back in a single file in the gutter with a lot of wind, hanging by a thread like a mouse in a bucket, having nowhere to go. Now I'm the guy at the front, I'm the guy in the echelon pushing very high numbers, same as the guy in the back, but we can overtake each other and we can draft behind each other. So we're forcing everyone to go very deep, very hard. And there's guys at the back yelling, go to the left, go to the left. Obviously, because they don't fit in the echelon. But if you're there and you're doing this, that's actually what you want. These guys are worried that they're gonna drop, so they're yelling and hoping that you're going to the left and listening to them. But that's not what you want to do. You have a plan, you execute it, and you stick to it, and you make people work. So we're at the end of this crosswind section. I'm in perfect position, coming close start finish for lap number 2. I've done everything right, but now this race director is here at the front, going very, very slow, and he's holding us back. The race was stopped. So this was very unfortunate. There was apparently quite a big crash in the first part of this race already. So they decided to stop the race because they did not have enough medical team available at that moment.
15 minutes later.
It's been neutral for 15 minutes, apparently pretty big crash. So we're just doing laps on the circuit to stay warm. Don't know what's gonna happen. So this break in the race gives me the opportunity to talk about a new feature in the Eat My Ride app. It will allow you to load multiple rides into one day. So right now I had my warm-up the first part of the race and the second part of the race, and every consecutive ride will take the previous glycogen depletion into account for the next one. So if you do like 2 very big rides in a day, then it would actually matter a lot. And you can plan your food for every single ride, and then you will have a good estimation of your carbohydrate burn for the whole day. And one more thing about the Eat My Ride, I am using a Garmin because that has the live glycogen burn field. And I've got comments from people using Wahoo that it's not compatible, but it is. Your file will send your power data to the Eat My Ride app, so you can still analyze everything after your ride, and you can also plan the nutrition of your ride or your race or your training, which is actually the most important thing. You know, the live burn field is an extra feature, but the most important thing is to plan your nutrition ahead and then stick to your plan. In the meanwhile, the race was back online. It took like more than half an hour until we could restart, so they shortened the race. We only had 5 laps left in this race, so it was 10 laps. Now they went back to 6 in total, so 1 that we already did, but they totally restarted the race. They didn't let us start in the front, the guys that were actually in the front, so I was all the way in the back again, but now I knew what was going to happen. But so was everybody else. So actually the second start was a bit more chaotic than the first start. Again, exiting the race course, and it was a bit more chaos. Now suddenly everybody knew it was going to go crazy in the first 5 minutes, and I got a bit twisted in that turn, and now I'm all the way in the back. So shitty position. I'm going to show you that it's going to go in a single file line. I'm in a bad position. But one very big difference from a few weeks ago when I was racing in the elite category versus now, that there's no elite riders. Dude, I am an amateur very much. I've got a full-time job, I've got 2 kids, and I've got the YouTube channel, so definitely in my place in the amateur. But right now, look at the ride. All these guys are single file, and the number 30, this is Robert de Jong, very strong rider. I raced him on the previous video in the criterium. He was taking a big pull, so I was in his wheel to move up to the front, and right now I'm pushing through the wind. But the difference is that I can actually overtake these other riders, whereas a few weeks ago in the elite race I was already pushing so much in the gutter, there was no extra power left to overtake anyone. Approaching the left hand corner with the tailwind on the left, you can already see there's a few guys away. That actually went very quick, and I saw that, and I was in the front here, so I was very vigilant to be ready for an attack or to jump with anyone. So I'm at the front here, rotating with these guys, pushing, driving the pace, so at least this gap would not get bigger. We have a bit of some corners and a bit of tailwind coming up, so I did think we would be able to close this at the next stage of this lap, but this does show how fast it can go. Within 10 seconds there can be a gap and there can be a group that's gone. So very important to stay super sharp. So as I've said in the previous lap, in the first lap, everybody was pretty chill on this very narrow bike lane that's coming up. This time everyone was actually pushing a bit harder because people knew there was a crosswind section coming up. This was a very important part of the race, even though the little bike lane here was quite easy with the tailwind. Guy here on the left is starting to push very hard. He seemed to be willing to just slam that big gap, close it up straight away. So I thought about following him, but there were a couple of riders right behind me. And I figured, okay, let's just keep on rotating. We can close it easily together. No need to go full gas now to put the effort in for this 20 meters. So here we are approaching the end of this bike lane. An important part. As you can see, guys are moving towards the front on the left. So I'm trying to squeeze in this gap, and the guy in front of me was going to the left, and then he starts complaining about me trying to move up. You know, it's a race, so if there's a small gap and I can go through, then I'll try to go through. Approaching this corner, and after this again, it's going to be a crosswind, just like we've seen on the first lap. And again, this is going to decide who will be in the first group and who is not. And everybody knew it now, so we were going full gas on this part. through this little left right hand turns, and then I am sort of the last guy that fits on the road. Perfect spot here right now. We start rotating and it gets narrower and narrower. The first guy is starting to move towards the middle instead of the left of the road, which allows less people on the road. Guys are yelling from the back, go left, go left. Exactly the same as the first lap. This is how you make a difference. This is how you squeeze the sponge and, you know, drop guys in the back. Just keep going very, very hard in the front and not allow too many people to get in that echelon, and eventually they're not able to hold the 500 watts that everybody's pushing at the front. Right now, boom, I'm squeezing in and I'm getting in that echelon. I'm not allowing more people to overtake me on the right side. You need to fight for that position. I'm moving towards the front. As you can see, I'm pushing 500 watts for only a short moment, and then I'm falling back. I'm allowing another guy to take the front, and then I have to accelerate a little bit to get in his draft, and now I'm in the draft again and I can fall back. Important moment is coming up again. I need to get on the right side into that echelon, but right now the group was falling apart a little bit. I don't know actually exactly why, but there was a preem coming up, so maybe some guys were already sort of trying to save energy for that little sprint, you know, to get that $5 on the line. I don't know. So these two guys, they were ahead a little bit. They keep on trucking and they were really going for those preems. I figured I'm just gonna let it go here. I didn't want to, you know, spend all my energy to catch him back. The next lap was actually pretty easy. We just kept rotating. We seemed to have established a nice group, and from here it was still 4 full laps towards the finish, which was very short, right? The full race was only going to be around 52 minutes, if I remember correctly. That's because it was only 5 laps instead of 10. So very, very short race. Usually you can, you know, make a little bit more difference because some riders would get more fatigued. And now, because it was so short, it was also very intense. So it was a bit different than a usual race. Start finish again. A couple guys are hammering it for the preems. We've got 3 laps to go right now, only 22 kilometers, and as you can see, we're still with quite a big group. We were with about 10 riders, which is, you know, it's a pretty good group to go fast, but it was actually a little bit too big still to have a good chance on a finish. You know, sprinting against 5 guys is in the end easier than against 10. So preferably this breakaway would get a bit smaller towards the last lap. So here we are approaching that crosswind section again. This is the section where it all happens, and Martin is on the front right now, and he and I had exactly the same idea. He said to me, let's make the group a bit smaller, and I knew exactly what he meant. We're gonna keep it close to the edge of the road on the right side, so only a few riders would fit in, and we keep it close. As you can see, other riders didn't want to do that. They went all the way to the left, but here's Martin again pushing in the middle of the road, and when it's my turn, I'm not moving to the left. I'm staying just where I am, so only 2, maybe 3 riders would fit next to me on the road. And right here you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 guys, and I'm actually in the gutter. I am not fitting in that echelon anymore, but it's just a battle. You can fit in, then you don't, and then you have to squeeze in, and you're only behind it for a little bit, and then you're back in the draft. You're taking your pool, and then you're off the front straight away, keeping it small. And then behind us it broke up, and then we lost a few riders, exactly how we did it in the first lap. And this may look very easy, but guys, I've been on the other side of the fence so many times, and it sucks big time. You're just, you know, in that gutter. You're in a single file with a few riders. You're pushing 500, 600 watts, and you're pushing out everything you have, and you just can't keep up. And it's so frustrating. But that's how races are made. That's how it's done. Right now, I was just on the good side of the fence. I was able to manipulate these things. I had enough power relative to the other riders that I could do this together with a few other guys, of course, because you can never do this alone. And me and Martin were together. We know each other from
previous races, racing together in the same team. He actually is a track racer. He races the Paralympics. He's a serious fit guy, having a partial handicap on one of his legs. But as you can see, this guy is legit. He pushes out big watts and he's able to race with these races. He used to race Elite. So he was definitely one of the strongest riders in this race today. On the back side of the course, we have a 1.5 laps to go, only 12k on the clock, and it's been a tough race already, but very short. 35 minutes in this race only, and we've narrowed it down. We've got only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 riders in this break now, so we lost 4 in that last little squeeze. So right now it's actually already sort of time to have a look at that finish. Whoops, that almost went wrong. The other rider went to the outside a little bit, I went to the inside a little bit, and I clipped my front wheel, I think on his foot or on his bike. Luckily my wheel didn't get damaged. I'm riding the Windspace wheels with the carbon spokes. They're super strong. I've had exactly this happen to another wheel before with steel spokes, and the spoke just broke and that ended my race. But no worries with the Windspace wheels. So another reason why you would want to make a breakaway a little bit smaller is because when the break is too big, some riders are going to take advantage of that. So they're not going to take pulls and they're going to skip them the whole time. They're going to be in the back of the breakaway the whole time, drafting and getting sort of a free ticket towards the finish, which means they're going to be arriving more fresh and they're going to outsprint you for the win. So when you notice that happening, then it's time to take some action. Now we've already narrowed down the breakaway. There was still one rider, just the guy in front of me was skipping a few pools. I was kind of discussing that with him a little bit just before this moment. So either he was getting tired, he was slacking, or he's conserving energy, which would actually be good for him because that's strategy. The breakaway now is small enough that to lose one guy is actually kind of difficult and maybe not the worth the effort to make it fall apart completely, because we still have the peloton chasing us down. We still need to keep rotating fast and keep pushing hard because the guys are on our tail. So lap and a half right now, we're all rotating, we're all leaving space for each other on the road, which is the most efficient when you're in the breakaway, obviously. So when you have this good group, you're friends with each other until you're not. And that moment was gonna come in the last lap that's coming up right now. So last lap kind of came as a surprise. We're only 42 minutes in the race and we're into the last lap, so it's a very short race, to be honest. So now that I managed to be in the breakaway, a whole other thing is finishing strong, right? It requires race tactics, a bit of luck, skill, and ability to ride really fast, I guess. And I have a few of those, and the other ones I'm still working on. So I made a very stupid mistake in the upcoming lap, which is costing my race result. I'm gonna do that completely different next time, and I'm gonna take you with me what I was doing, what I was thinking, and why I made this mistake. Jumping to the backside of the course, 4 kilometers to go, and we're still rotating. The last lap, everybody was rotating very nice. There was nobody accelerating, we just kept the same pace. But it is time to think about that finish. And I was thinking, like, if this group stays together, I will try to be in a position to sprint, meaning, not be in the first wheel in the last corner, have a few guys to draft, and then, catapult out of their wheel towards the finish line. But in the Netherlands and in a lot of races, it very often doesn't turn out to be a sprint with the whole breakaway or with the whole peloton. What happens very often is guys attack either way before the finish, like a couple kilometers out, or for a very long sprint, like I did in my previous criterium, where I got pulled back to the breakaway by another dude and then took a 900-meter sprint to win the race. And when this happens, you have a split second to make a decision. Are you gonna jump after it or not? That split second is right now. Robert, he is attacking the guy in red, and Han, he's chasing him down, another guy in red. Both are very strong, and I was all the way in the back. I couldn't really react straight away, and I tell Martin, this dude is very strong, but nobody really accelerated. So I just kept it up. We kept up the pace, and right now I was like, okay, I missed this attack, but we are with 4. They are with 2. So it's 4 against 2. If we keep rotating and keep the pace high, we can still pull it back. Well, this guy, he doesn't really take the pull, and then nobody's in his wheel. So our pace is kind of dying right now. So not very good. The leaders are increasing their distance, actually. We're not closing it down. They're getting further and further away. So at this moment, I already realized this is not gonna go very well. Well, we still had that crosswind section, so I had a little bit of hope that if we would rotate really strong, they're only with 2, maybe they're gonna choke, they're gonna die down before the finish, we're gonna overtake them and then sprint and they're gonna be nowhere. But that was just one option. Right now, they're increasing their lead. Both of these guys are very strong and they're going full gas right now, I'm sure. Working together, and I'm at the front, and I noticed that the guys behind me are not working together. I went through that corner with super high speed. I noticed on the previous laps that if I went through there fast in the first wheel, nobody could stay in my wheel. Everybody decelerated a little bit more before that corner. So now I'm by myself and I'm looking back. I'm sort of in between everything, and then this guy, he just shoots by me, which I didn't notice quick enough, so I couldn't get on his wheel. So he's gone. So now 1, 2, 3 is gone. I do start accelerating here. I try to push hard to see who was gonna get in my wheel, and then if if Martin would be there, we're gonna rotate and then try to still put up the pace and close this gap. We start rotating and the speed is really high, 45 kilometers an hour. And you can see that the other guys, they were still in our wheel, and they didn't have enough power left. They didn't have the energy, so the speed is dying when they get to the front. I mean, they are rotating, but we're losing time, we're losing distance right now against the first 3, so they are gone. I think podium position now is out of the question, and as we realize that, the speed and the cohesion in this group is gonna drop like a bomb. It's just gonna be gone straight away. So you'll see that in the end of this section where we really die down in speed, and then it's just a matter of sort of trying to get a good finish. So right now nobody wants to pull because we only have 500 meters left, so there's only the sprint for the finish, for 4th place, which is kind of sad. It's next to the box, but it's still a place. At this point, I always want to practice my sprint towards the finish. I always want to try to get the best position possible. So right now, focus on the sprint. I knew I was not going to catch back the first 3. Martin is behind me. I'm very focused on these guys in front and behind me. I see Martin accelerating from the left, so I just sprint on the right side so I could get on his wheel right away here. And here he is accelerating. He sprinted towards the finish, and I was waiting to get out of his wheel, but I'm already overtaken by this dude. He's actually one of the local riders. He was kind of faking it in the last lap, not taking pulls, and he just sprints by us both, gets 4th place, tricks us, and well, good job, dude. That's the way to go when you're maybe not the strongest rider of the group, but the smartest. And I learned my lesson today. 4th place.
2 hours later.
Hi schatje.
Hey flaptrol.
Dankjewel moppie. That's my key. Stupid closing door function. Guys, what are we without our better half? I don't know. She drove an hour here. Next week, I'm actually on Mallorca. The Mallorca cycling camp is coming week. So no race, but a lot of fun riding. We've got a full house, full hotel. After that, we'll have more races. So stay tuned. Gonna see you next time. See ya.